For most of our lives, learning something new took years, and today that system has really collapsed, and that changes what starting late really means. For a long time, the idea of starting late seemed like it just really put us behind, and that actually made sense to us. You know, we learned skills slowly. Knowledge was passed down over years and sometimes even decades. Trial and error took place, and sometimes that even took a lifetime. So if you started late, you really did have some ground to make up. But that belief didn't come out of nowhere. It really just came out of the real world reality that we have. Now, this isn't originally what I thought about AI, that it was something that was complicated, it was technical, and was probably something that was not meant for me. At the time, I assumed it would be something that I wouldn't understand. At least that's what I told myself. And of course, we'll get to that a little bit later. But over time, that thinking for me and that model really started to break down. If you think back to the industrialization age, that's back when the learning curve was pretty long. The information came along, or the information age came along, and it began to shorten up and compress that time frame. And then when AI came along, it began to shorten it even more. So it was accessible if you knew where to look for that knowledge. And this is when I began to understand the impact of having information available at your fingertips. Compared to earlier in my life, and probably just like yours, learning no longer meant stopping everything you were doing and having to go research something maybe for days at a time. Answers are now closer and easier than they've ever been, and I didn't really fully appreciate what that meant yet. So now we're at the point where the distance between execution and the idea has just really collapsed. Not because thinking has disappeared, it's just because the friction disappeared. You don't have to learn how to code, you don't need the technical skills, and you don't need years to get started. You can think of something and think about it out loud, you can ask better questions, and you can move forward faster. So that real shift happened for me when I realized AI wasn't about coding at all. It was about clarity. And so once I understood it was a conversational agent and that I could ask it questions and we could talk through ideas, that just gave me a continuity argument, and that really clicked for me. It wasn't replacing my thinking, but it was helping me organize my thinking, and that was huge for me once I understood that. So this is where starting later actually flips, because older starters already have context, you've got judgment, and you can already recognize patterns. So the tools now handle the mechanical part, and that lets us experience and keep up with the speed. So you're not trying to catch up to the world. Really, you're just looking at entering it with perspective. I use that as an example of when I was working with USDA before I retired. And early on, when I was learning construction, I had the construction inspector that was responsible for helping me with my skills. He always said that once we're out doing an inspection, and especially when the contractor is there, if you see a mistake, just don't run up and jump out and point out the mistake. Maybe start asking some questions, ask the contractor a few questions, maybe let him come to the point where he sees what you're talking about, and he may just come up with a resolution on his own. And what that taught me how to take a situation and avoid conflict, while at the same time also building trust. And that's just something that's just stuck with me. So the fear of being behind really just comes from an old version of the world. And it's just that older version is what we grew up in. The learning curve is shorter now. The entry point is closer than it's ever been. And you don't need mastery to begin. You just need clarity and movement. So my YouTube development at first was very slow, and it still is relatively slow, having to learn domains and hosting, editing software, uploads, all of it. It was just very intimidating to me. But once I realized that I could use AI like a tutor and have it right there with me, beside me, and ask it questions and learn how to ask it good questions, it was able to lead me through a lot of the issues that I had with learning the technology of YouTube and just of the computer in general. So that's why I don't think starting later is a disadvantage that we've been told it is. You know, the tools have changed the equation, and those changes make a lot very possible right now. Now, if this is a way of looking at things that resonates with you, I'm going to keep walking through and working through some of these ideas here. And if that's something that does appeal to you, I certainly would like for you to, like the video, and especially give me some comments and subscribe to the channel, and we can work on this as we go through. But I think it's something that's very doable, and the information that you have is valuable just based off of the knowledge that you've already got. And that's something that I really believe that the world needs, and especially some of the younger generation that we have out there. They just need some perspective, and if we can get that out there to them, I think that would be a very nice benefit that we can share.